was the product mix, or what was the mix of like sales, marketing, PLG when you started at Canva, and help me understand what that evolved to?
Yeah. So I was the first sales hire and head of sales at Canva. And so, it was a real kind of fun time to come in. I think they had a few folks that had kind of been, assembled as part of the team and maybe had been hired around the same time. But I would say like we represented, I'd say like probably 1% of the overall population, which is so interesting. And not like any time I've been at a B2B company, right? And so when you're at a, largely, consumer-led PLG growth company, your predominant kind of like cultures are going to be like engineering and products. Design was massive for us. But I do remember when I showed up, it was almost like being a stranger in a strange land in a lot of ways, which was not characteristic to, any place I'd ever been before, which was, I think, another really fun part. And it's shifted and changed over time. Now they actually have a decent size kind of sales and success team now that, it's been kind of 3 or 4 years, since that time I joined. And they've grown and evolved and really built a world-class offering for, kind of enterprise and B2B. But I would say like now it's representative of probably like I'd say 10 to 15% of the population, which is still lower than most, but it also represents, kind of how they're shifting and changing. And I bet that, if you looked at a pie graph over time, you'd see that slice of the pie just continue to get bigger and bigger, as they continue to see more growth in all these different areas.
I heard you say your first hires were local experts. You probably were the local Austin expert in this example. Who were your next hires when you're back from Sydney, Australia? You're making these hires. Who were the first folks that you brought on to help you build this team out?
Yeah, so it was an interesting one, and this is a great story for any folks that are kind of going through this journey, because I think it's different than if I were just to be the first sales hire at a company that just found product market fit, or was just bringing a product to market. It'd be a different sequence. We had this great interesting challenge that we had 50 million monthly active users. So we had this massive user base only. Yeah, larger than some countries. And it was really great to be able to like have that as your starting spot. And like I mentioned, there were some teams signing up at big companies, and so the story about enabling, sales motion on top of this flywheel was like, how do we take those teams of 30, 40, 50 people that are at, big company XYZ that have started to use the product, and how do we start to align them to our enterprise offering? And so we hired actually CSMs to start with, which is kind of interesting. You predominantly would have hired like folks who go acquire customers in the beginning, but we had a different problem. We had customers probably oriented to the wrong product, right? So it's like, let's get a good subset of these customers that have already kind of self-selected and come on board. Let's align them to a CSM so that we can really beef up and bolster their adoption and get them to talk about 10 other people that they want to invite to be a part of this project, and like really scale it and grow it. So we built a quick team of CSMs, which I think was really helpful to capture this natural momentum we already had with these customers that were coming to us. And then we built out, kind of an AE structure to go on top of that too. And so it was the AEs now were, focused on how do we acquire more of these customers coming in, that may have signed up. And this is the kind of cool segmentation stuff you can do, but like someone who signed up, the night before that was at a big company, how do we reach out to them ASAP and start to talk to them about, getting them into a sales process and working with them in a way that embraces them, inviting their friends and other departments and, enabling their usage there. So we kind of had, 2 teams that layered on top of our PLG sign-up motion, one that was capturing teams that were already in place and growing them. And then, quickly the ones that were able to take the ones that were naturally coming to us in the beginning, and then being able to say, okay, let's set them up the right way on the enterprise offering with the right tools training so that this thing can really kind of take off and go faster here.